I'm Brian Robert Oliver. This is the Infinite Eleven's Anatomy of Horror. So the purpose of this channel is not to only shine a light on the mastery of horror by all of these phenomenal filmmakers, but to also give insight into how these artists go about their craft. And no genre of film gives its directors as much creative freedom as horror. So tonight, we're going to talk about A Dark Song, written and directed by Liam Gavin, and that's coming up next. A grieving yet determined mother convinces an angry alcoholic man to live with her in a dilapidated mansion hours away from humanity. This man specializes in practices dealing with the occult. Isolated in the countryside, the two lock themselves away as a woman is put through a long series of physically and emotionally taxing rituals for one singular reason, so that she may once again speak with her departed son. When the extended ceremony takes longer than anticipated, both of their intentions are put into question. There's a lot to like about this film. It's Gavin's debut film, mind you. For one, I can't think of anything like it. Not anything deals exactly with this subject matter in the way that it does. It feels real. It feels lived in. Something that either Liam Gavin has a deep interest in, or at least did a lot of research on. And I think it's handled with care. And according to Thomas Sheridan of Beyond Room 313, magic and rituals used in the film are in fact authentic and realistic, and I put a link below if you wanted to learn more about that aspect of the film. But it's a personal film. Many horror films have a social commentary, but this film pertains more to one's own psychology and how we as individuals process pain. The best way I can sum up the implicit meaning of A Dark Song is an old saying that goes something to the effect of, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die from it. We, as a species, tend to punish ourselves over and over again without end regarding things out of our control. In the world of A Dark Song, we focus on two characters that have so much pain caused by loss that it has turned them against the world and forced them into isolation. And together, they become completely detached from reality. Its themes include vengeance, forgiveness, loss, and isolation. Now, the bulk of its runtime focuses on the house and on the two characters of Sophia and Joseph. And it's really interesting how these two are photographed when they share the same shot. When they begin their journey together, there is all this space between them that Gavin and director of photography Cathal Waters create for them. Two people living together but alone and detached from one another. As time separates them from the outside world, they naturally gravitate toward one another. However, as important as the character of Joseph is to the overall narrative, it's Sophia's arc and personal pain we follow to the end. And there's one scene I really wanted to talk about, and there's nothing flashy about it. In fact, it's very simple, but very, very, very effective. And this takes place towards the end of the second act, so let's take a look at it. This is such a cool scene. It's literally your childhood fear come to life. You wake up in the middle of the night, and you see a crumpled pair of jeans sitting on the chair across from you, and it looks like something mangled and twisted. And the opening shot is perfect. It's Sophia literally hunkered down within herself and surrounded by darkness, completely vulnerable, but completely unaware. Notice the angle is slightly lower in regards to Sophia, but a noticeably lower angle in regards to the entire shot. It's almost neutral on Sophia, and it makes this such an intimate shot. It's a wide shot too, but just as effective and personal as if we were closer in on her. And her blocking gives it the feeling of her being crushed by the darkness. It has a neoclassical look to it, and many of the artists of that period used large spaces of darkness to represent loss, and I think that's what's going on here. And that amazing subtle sound design cues both us and Sophia into the feeling of no longer being alone in the darkness. And I hope you're wearing headphones, because the sound design and editing by Christina Aragon and Jack Whitney is incredible. So we answer a pretty personal, subjective shot with a point of view shot, and it's really well balanced. The lighting and cinematography by Cathal Waters is really impressive, and such a good use of low-key lighting. Gavin is using the darkness as a character, and it puts us into Sophia's shoes. We are not sure what we are looking at here. And when I mention balance, is that this shot is wide, as was the previous shot, and then a pattern develops in fours. Notice the editing and the pacing. Catherine Walker gives an outstanding, understated performance here. And the act of her looking up and out is really powerful because the shot already starts off personal, and this lends tension to the shot because of her action and because of the pacing. The information we are getting is being fed to us slowly, a continuation of the pattern. This is so cool and a really good payoff. We now have the information we need, so great storytelling. We start a new pattern, very similar to the last, and now that we have the information we need, a reaction to it is called for. And notice how shallow our focus is. We are being pulled into Sophia, and now we are really subjective. The frame keeps moving in on Sophia, constantly upping the tension. Sophia literally center frame, and she is the only thing in focus. So to answer this shot, we are put into her shoes again, another point of view, but now we are keying in on this shadow figure, enjoying a cigarette, and the balance again. We close in on Sophia, so we close in on her focus, and that pattern of fours. Closer, closer, closer. So the pattern changes. We are in a tight close-up. Notice that there have been no objective shots, and that is why this scene is so intense, because it is so personal. Check back again to the smoking shadow, and what are we going to see next? Space. We go back to the original shot of Sophia, so she can have the space to move and take action. The camera movement is subtle, but still controlled, and now Sophia moves closer to the shot, and we are again moving back deeper into the subjective. New pattern, and it's so good. Another point of view shot, but we are behind in the action. And look at the camera movement. It's handheld and unsteady. We get a piece of Sophia in the shot, and it gives the effect as if we were hiding behind her. And the shallow focus. Our eyes are now drawn directly to the chair and nothing else, and we get closer. And then right back to Sophia, and she gets closer. Cut back to our pattern of fours, and we are slowly moving towards a payoff. Back to Sophia, the pacing, the movement, bringing us into the character and her plight, therefore ratcheting up the tension. So this scene is basically in two sections, and Liam Gavin uses such a simple yet an effective pattern and style that starts wide, then slowly brings us in. If you haven't gotten a chance to watch it, then I highly recommend it. A Dark Song stars Catherine Walker and Steve Oram. Until next time.